Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Come on in. Listen, how's everybody doing? I hope everybody, we're a little lost in the sauce with this little situation. Had a little bit of technical difficulties. How's everybody doing, Big J? What's the word?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Trojan fam. What up, USC J? Good to
Man.
be back like I never left.
Hey, absolutely. Hey, look, the time is now, and now is the time. And look, I almost feel like I gotta have a pep rally, because I think everybody's starting to get stage fright right now. And I think they kind of get cold feet, man. I mean, what's your thoughts, man? I mean, we're gonna talk about this realistic expectations. What are your expectations? What should the USC fan expectations be, man? Because you look at the media, if you look everywhere, man, everybody is, and I'm gonna be getting these comments up. Everybody is essentially, some have negative things to say, some have positive. What's your thoughts on this as we move into this? 8 days now, 8 days.
8 days, man. There's always going to be negative commentary as it relates to USC Trojan football. That there will never be a time where the overall consensus around the country is USC is great, because too many people love to hate what we have going on over here. But on top of that, the bias that are just so pronounced in the other parts and other regions of our country, they don't get to watch enough USC football consistently to know just how remarkable and impactful the university is when we're doing what we're supposed to do. And by every stretch of the term, we are well ahead of schedule based upon how I perceive things to go. Once Coach Riley and he brought his staff in, once he got here, I gave us a 2.5, 3 year window, except my expectations were more than matched and surpassed last season. And now I believe that we've really strategically positioned ourselves to go undefeated in the regular season, to enter the college playoff for the very first time, and to really put a thumbprint on a legitimate national championship run. There's a lot of varying factors, of course, but I think now more than ever, since I was at USC, we have the tools and all of the small intangibles to win a national title, most certainly a Pac-12 championship as we get out of this conference.
Absolutely. So, a lot of people, they say, I've been doing, as you know, I do videos all throughout the week. And a lot of people say, slow up, Jay, pump the brakes. You're going too fast with this. And here's my thing. Even as I did last year, I just kind of put the pieces together, man, and look at what we have, the production, like I said, that was coming from last year, like the guys of Jordan Addison, and you look at the production that's there now. We really exceeded expectations when you're talking about transfer portal. Everything that Lincoln needed to do, Alex Grinch and Lincoln needed to do, they fully addressed all needs. There's absolutely no excuses, man. So from that perspective, that's kind of my reasoning where I'm at with it. When alluding to what you're saying as far as the national championship expectation. I mean, is it I shouldn't say this, but is it championship? I don't like putting. That's a lot of pressure. That is some pressure. But when you look at it's two factors to this. One is we will never have another. Well, I'm not gonna say that. One is
we will never have this Caleb Williams again.
We
will never have this quarterback again, right?
Right. We'll never have this quarterback.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to say it like that, but just the caliber of player, IQ combined with abilities, strength, and just how he's able to adapt to different plays, at will. So, it's special. So, it's an understanding that why the expectations are the way they are, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, this reminds me so much of when I was at USC. It's ridiculous, except to me, across the boards, this team feels a little bit more dynamic than when I was at USC. It feels a little bit more explosive.
Well, explain that, because people need to. You got insight on that. You were there. Explain what do you mean as far as the dynamics of that?
Okay, so what I mean is when you look at our, let's go offense first, and then we can break down defense. But offensively, when I was at USC, it was Coach Carroll's first year, was my first year at SC, and that was in 2001. We went 6-6, okay, and nobody wanted Coach Carroll. Nobody really wanted him to be the head coach, but there was something about his confidence and his charisma that I think the staff, the administrative staff, the hiring staff at USC, they said, this guy has so much self-belief. We think that he can infuse that into this newer generation of athlete to get them to come to play here. And it worked because Coach Carroll spoke about player unity and community and being like a family. All teams say that stuff. But the one thing about Coach Carroll is he had the charisma and he had the mental and emotional acumen to actually put that together. So I think Lincoln Riley has the same type of dynamic.
Absolutely.
Without the flair. Lincoln is he's a very subtle, calm, composed leader. And what that does is it allows for athletes to really see the authenticity of his approach. And it looks like he says what he means what he says. Coach Carroll was very much the same way. And so I can see the personalities there are going to bring in the types of players that we want to see in the Cardinal and Gold. So that's my caveat. Now, when I was at SC, that first year, we had no real running back because we had Sultan McCullough, who was injured. We had Malifo McKenzie, who unfortunately had to go and leave, do some family issues. At that time, we had a Justin Fargas who had just transferred from Michigan, but he was ineligible because of the transfer. So we had a running back named Sonny Bird who was toting the ball for us, who was basically a fullback converted to an H-back. We had Kerry Colbert, Kareem Kelly, a bunch of receivers, and Carson was on the rise, right? But mostly that program we were in shambles. I mean, we went 6-6 that year under Coach Carroll. But at the end of that season, and we lost to Utah. We lost to Utah in the Vegas Bowl. That was my true freshman year. But at the end of that season, you could start to feel the tide turning. You could start to feel the personalities in the locker room blending. You could start to feel, because that's the same thing that Lincoln Riley had. Two different coaching staffs, teams. You had the first bunch of recruits that Coach Carroll brought in his first year. And then you also had, which Matt Leinart was one of them. We had Matt Leinart, Sean Cody. I could just think of a bunch of more. Mike Patterson. We had some dudes, myself, William Buchanan. There was some guys in that class, right? And you had what was left over from the staff before, which was Coach Hackett's staff, his crew. And blending those two locker rooms is tough. It's a tough thing to do. But once you start to gel, which like at the end of the season last year, our guys, you can start to see more of the team camaraderie. They start to gel. We started to gel back then. And I see the similarities of the players now starting to play with one another. And it doesn't feel like two staffs united, two teams united. It feels like one full team. Okay. And the guys that they brought in from the transfer portal in this era, the guys that they brought in recruitment from this era, mixed in with some of the guys from the last coaching staff, plus the players that got developed last season under Grinch and Coach Riley. What I see now is you have a Raleek Brown who's very explosive and glitchy. You have a Mario Williams who's very explosive and glitchy. When I was at SC, we had Kerry Colbert and Steve Smith. Those were the same types of receivers, in my opinion. Then ultimately we got a Mike Williams, which now we have a Brendan Rice, we have a Jacoby Lane, we have a Deuce Robinson, we had a Dwayne Jarrett. These prototype bodies that are like very similar. Okay. But the thing that I'll say, unlike all of them, is we had a Reggie Bush. All right. And I can say that comparably, we also now have a Zachariah Branch.
Right.
So the types of figures, the types of players you can plug and play in these scenarios are all there. But the one outlier that I don't think we've had a receiver like him outside of maybe a Robert Woods, and that's even questionable, is I think we have a Dorian Singer, who is one of those types of receivers that's like, we haven't really had too many receivers like him, in my opinion, because he has the ability to line up in the slot. He can play outside. You can play him in the return game. he's a ball hawk. I mean, he really is. And we do have receivers that do that very well, but now we have about 5 or 6 of them that do that very well. Versus where before we had one guy that you knew was the jump ball guy. We had one guy that you knew was the slot third down guy. We had one guy that could run reverses. We had one guy that could go deep. We had these specific players, but now each of these receivers that we have, each have those dynamic abilities.
Absolutely.
Now, let's go to the running backs. We've got 2 big backs currently that all have balance. We got Barlow. We got Zamarian, or I'm sorry, Gordon.
Amarian Peterson.
Amarian Peterson. I'm sorry. Amarian Peterson. Yeah. Forgive me. And these running backs have so much diversity in their skill set that it's hard to know when to load the box, when to play soft, because we got slashers, we got sideline guys, sideline to sideline. We got one cut and move dudes. We got Marshawn Lloyd. Austin is a bruiser and also has evasive ability. Like, these are the types of things that really, really set an offense apart. All these different pieces that allow for the offense to just play to the weakness of each defense that we will go through. I don't think we had that type of depth when I was at USC.
And that's so what you're saying. You're saying you're really hitting on something that a lot of people, I don't think they really grasping that. And you played there, so you visually see these guys now.
Yeah.
So I mean, keep talking, but I mean, they really got to understand, like, this, and it's not just selling whoop tickets. This is what we really seeing. Why we believe why we believe USC is a contender.
I'm speaking personnel from personal experience. Like, we had those types of players as well. The thing is our coaching staff back when I was at SC was kind of like, you were a starter and a backup, right? That's kind of how we were. You had to be a starter, a backup, and then there was the pieces that you could plug and play. Now I see it's kind of like it's a committee of people. It's a diversity. And I didn't even mention 2 receivers that I think are going to be the most breakout receivers in really, really unique situations this season. I never mentioned Mike Jackson, who I think is the sleeper of all sleepers on our team as a receiver. Mike Jackson he's a remarkable
man. He has got to be. I promise you, he's. Matter of fact, I posted him yesterday. He's talking about 9 days left of the season. He is,
bro.
Look, man, that guy. He's Amonte Brown, Robert Woods, all in one. He got the strength. Yeah,
in one.
Yeah,
absolutely, he is, and he's got a little bit of juju in him. He's got a little bit of Marquise Lee in him. And we didn't talk about Mekhi Lemon, and I didn't even talk about our most consistent receiver last year was Taj Washington.
Yeah.
We did not have this type of depth when I was at USC. We didn't.
Hey, hold on. Let me put this comment up because Brian, hey, look, hey, Brian, you gotta understand. Jaywalk was there, and I'm not even gonna say, but for what I'm saying, I'm gonna say this. For what I see, the potential is there, in my opinion. And you look at it right now, the potential is there for those guys to exceed that. Okay. Jaywalk.
Okay, B Jinx, you're right. But guess what? Last year's offense put up more productivity than our 2003 offense. They scored more points per game and they had more yards per game. So how can you dispute what I'm saying? Really? I mean, yes, our 03 team was a monster. I think we're one of the best college football teams of all time, hands down. And personally, I think we would beat them this year. Like, if we played this USC team, I think my 03 team would beat this USC team. I do. Just because we had different guys. Our trenches were crazy. We had, we had Kenichi Udeze, Mike Patterson, Sean Cody, Omar Nazel. We had some dudes, right? We had some guys. We had Troy Still. So yeah, I do think that my 2003 championship team, which is why I wear this ring so proudly, I think we are a better team. But I'm talking about dynamic playmakers, right? I'm not convoluting the argument. I'm saying that this team has more dynamic playmakers than we had. Didn't say that they could beat us. We were just different. We were different back then. But this team has a lot of things that we didn't have when I was at USC. Let me just go down the productivity of receivers. Taj Washington, he was our most consistent wideout last year. I don't care what anyone says. He was amazing. Mario is back, and I think he's better. Brandon Rice came on very strong towards the end of this season, and he's more mentally sound and better. Right now, we've got Zach Branch, who is the X factor of all teams. We converted Raleek and put him in the slot. He's ridiculous at any time, glitchy. He's a walking 6 points. That's just kind of like the guys that we had last year, not to include Deuce, who's a jump ball threat at any time.
Jacoby Lane,
who is everybody saying he's unstoppable in the red zone.
Yeah.
He makes acrobatic catches like none other. That's not talking about Mekhi Lemon, who also is remarkable. I haven't even mentioned any of our tight ends that we finally have depth. Jude Wolf is back, who has probably the best tight end hands on the team, but we haven't seen him because of injuries throughout his career. He's healthy. Lake McCree finally gets depth now. He's going to have more productivity. We got Carson Tabarachi, who they now put and converted to tight end, who is one of the most X-factor freaky guys that reminds me of like my boy Soma Vanuku and number 31, Stanley Havili.
Stanley. Yeah, that's who when I did a video about yeah, those two remind me of each other big time, man.
So he blends.
Yeah.
That's another weapon that we didn't really use last year. Now, last year we had two running backs that was pretty much the heart and soul of the team. One, Travis Dye. Travis was very consistent, but he wasn't a home run threat. You knew he wasn't a home run threat. Now we got two running backs right now that are instant home run threats with
Marshawn Lloyd.
Marshawn Lloyd 100%. And then the freshman, who am I talking about?
Joyner. You got Joyner.
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 You put the ball in his hands, he's out of there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can mix and match them. You got Darwin Barlow. You got some power going on. Marion Peterson with some power. You got so many different things you can do with that running back position, man.
I'm trying to tell you, the offensive line is bigger, stronger, more athletic. Period. That was based on last season. Now, let me just say this. I still haven't even mentioned our Heisman winning quarterback that we had. We had Carson Palmer. We had Matt Leinart. Neither of those quarterbacks, and I love those guys, neither of them are Caleb Williams. Neither of them can do what Caleb Williams can do.
Well, I'll let you say that. I'm not,
I'm talking about from a pure playmaking standpoint.
Absolutely. He's different. I mean, you look at all the analysts that they're comparing him to. I think it might have been college. Somebody said this might be one of the greatest quarterbacks that they've seen in college since, I don't know, Andrew Luck or something. But he's different, man. He's on another level, and I think he's going to set his own standard.
He really is. I mean, everybody talks about how Johnny Manziel could make plays. Personally, I see Caleb do what Johnny couldn't do.
Right.
Johnny
threw a lot of 50-50 balls, man, just on the fly. You know what I'm saying?
I'm talking about like he's Tebow, Manziel, Crouch, Vic, Mahomes, Lamar. He's all those guys mixed in one. And then here's the crazy thing. He can stand strong in the pocket just like Carson and Leinart did. He can do all of that. Yes, this offense is more dynamic than the one I played in. Doesn't mean that they could beat us, but we have more dynamic personalities and a playmate and a play caller who understands how to utilize the weapons that he has. That's the truth. I stand on it. It's no
absolutely.
It's no disrespect. It is what it is.
Absolutely. And so we're talking about what makes USC a real contender this year. We're going to talk about conference champs, who we think is going to be the conference champs, but what really makes USC a contender and why we're not just up here selling wolf tickets and why. And let me say this.
Yeah.
There's no jumping on the bandwagon once this thing get rolling. Everybody needs to jump on now. Listen, you are lost in all the sauce if you don't jump on now. You got to jump on right now because look, you are officially a bandwagon jumper. Once we get winning in the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, you start saying, oh, they look like they're gonna be done. No, it's too late. I threw the keys away. It's out of here. It's too late. So listen, we are giving you, Jay, we feed this information right now so you can get on board, man. Look, it's either now or never. Look, Lincoln already said job is not finished. And look, we believe that to the fullest, man. So this is what makes USC a contender, man. And so let's talk about real quick the defensive side. We're going to preview. This is not even a preview. We kind of, I don't know what, but look, we previewing with the voice of college football, Tim Prangley and Rick. Jay Walker and myself, we will, all four of us, we will be going live on each channel either Thursday or Friday. We're trying to lock that down, but we will have an actual preview of San Jose State. But this is a pep rally right now. We got to tell you right now why USC is getting ready to be a real contender and not a pretender, and why they're going to make it to. So let's talk about real quick the defensive guys that we got real quick. And do you see that same dynamic on the defensive side as you see on the offensive side?
No, I don't see the same dynamic. I see a more consistent and sound unit completely. So our top two depth, very sound. Every player I think that we have is a starter anywhere else in the country, on any team, Big Ten, SEC. I think our starters on defense are starters anywhere they are, period. With that being said, I know that last season felt horrible in so many ways because we were winning every game up until, with the exception of Oregon State, up until the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
If you think about how dominant we were in the first three quarters of most of our games, it looked like we should have put teams away. But the uneasiness came when teams started to rally back in the fourth quarter. We gave up more points, more yards in the fourth quarter than almost all three quarters combined throughout the season.
Can you talk about?
I don't want to. It makes me feel sick about it.
But here's the thing. Why? There's a reason. There's a reason behind that. People got to understand that.
I will tell you why. So my awareness is we gave up more points, more missed tackles, and more yards in the fourth quarter of each game alone than we did combined in all three quarters of the entire season. And the reason is attrition, fatigue, a combination of guys not having enough recovery, our offense scoring very fast, and our defense not having depth. Depth was the primary component of why we struggled so much late in those games.
And that's a big component.
And if you don't recognize that we were, in most of the games we played, I would say 90% of the games that we played, we were commanding the game all the way up until the end when other teams could rally because they had reserves. They had depth that they could rotate. We struggled and we suffered greatly with depth. So our guys, and as we became injured throughout the season, too many guys were taking 80%, 90% of the reps in the game. That's a non-sustainable workload at this level of competition.
Absolutely.
Even when I was at SC and our starters, we rotated often because coaches knew you got to keep guys fresh in order to be mostly impactful. We didn't have those rotational players last season. Now we do. You have to realize we have bodies that are capable, who are more experienced in this system, where you're not learning your coverages, you're not learning your adjustments. Now you know what to do because you've played in it. Now there's veterans in Alex Grinch's system who can teach the younger players. Whereas before, when a player didn't know what to do, they had to go straight to the coach. Coach, what do I have to do? There's no one else to teach anyone. So you got to go to the coach, and your coaches are giving you all the information as best they can. Now you take that workload off of a coach's head. You take the workload of having to teach and teach and teach and teach, and you tell the older players who are more veterans, teach the younger guys what to do so I can consistently create schemes and game plan and actually do some of the other nuances that are required as a DC. Dude, that is a huge difference in a defense. A huge difference. And then you get a bunch of guys who are player-led. Teams that are player-led are often championship caliber. So now you have veterans who played in a system who no longer have to ask coach what to do in these checks, these adjustments, these situations. They can actually now take that information, become greater coaches by teaching it to the younger guys, and the younger guys don't have to overwhelm the coaching staff with all these questions. That's something most people don't think about with a new installation. All of the players all year long said we're still learning the defense.
Right, right.
So now you can spend more time on tackling more soundly, creating more mismatches and situations to where you can actually really replicate those turnovers and create stunts and get those 3 and outs and force punts, the things that we were lacking last year consistently. That on top of the fresh bodies and what we brought in recruitment and through the portal, we are a very, very well-equipped team to run the tables defensively. And
absolutely.
Like I said, if we give up one less touchdown in the fourth quarter each game, we're in the national championship game from last season.
Absolutely.
One less touchdown per game, one less touchdown per fourth quarter. We are definitely a top 30 defense, and that's good enough to get it done with our offense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we stated the case. We stated the case for why we feel like USC is one of the contenders. And we believe that they're good, so let's just call it what it is. We feel like USC is coming out of the Pac-12 as the major contender. Now, when we look at the Power 5 schools, you look at the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12, all these conferences. Let's go. We don't have to go through team by team, but let's talk about who do we think is going to come out of these conferences. And then I really want to briefly, Bo Nix had a crazy comment. I can't say it's too crazy. He had a comment that, I guess he believed in himself. You're supposed to make them comments, but he had a comment that said, I think I could be the best quarterback in the Pac-12 this year. Now, I want to rate the quarterbacks in your opinion. I want to rate the quarterbacks from 1 to 12 in your opinion. He made that comment and, what you think? Real quick, let's rate the quarterbacks and then let's talk about the conference champs. Like, what do you think from 1 to 12? You can go first and we can just go back and forth, but 1 to 12, I already know who we got 1, man. Who do you got number 2?
It's like that. Okay. Now, when we're saying rating the quarterbacks, let me just get a little bit of clarity. Are we just talking about their specific unique talent as it relates to like Heisman caliber, or are we talking about how they lead their teams and how they
well, everything. I think everything has to be involved with that. Okay. Of course, you're talking about the numbers as well. And everybody, the media right now is really pointing to the Pac-12 having the best conference as far as quarterbacks. So how do you want to rate these quarterbacks? What would you rate them from 1 to 12?
So obviously you have Caleb is number 1. He's the number 1 player in the world right now in college football. That's just how it is. Number 2, just because of the way he can help his team win, and I'm not going to go off of sheer numbers, but I cannot disrespect Cam Rising from Utah.
Okay.
Because he's a winner and he finds a way to get it done. Now, depending upon how healthy he is, he was one of those quarterbacks that in my mind, I was like, gosh, man, this dude just has so much self-belief. You have to root for him. And he's the type of player that brings his team up. Okay? Yeah. Then I'm going Michael Penix, who is from Washington, right? He's phenomenal. He's a lefty that gets it done. He's athletic. He's evasive. He can do everything. I'm going Jaden Delara over Bo Nix, right?
Whoa!
From Arizona. Hey, hold on.
Okay. Wow.
I'm going Jaden Delara from Arizona because of his playmaking ability, and then I'll go Bo Nix because he's good. But Bo, I've seen Bo before, man.
And let me go ahead. I'm gonna let you go ahead.
Bo before.
Yeah.
And he had a great year last year, but that was his first year in the Pac-12. You can't catch someone off guard 2 times in a row.
Plus, they lost their offensive coordinator. I'm kind of wondering about that whole situation, man. How's he going to handle that?
They lost some offensive weapons. So I think a sleeper in our conference might end up being the kid from Colorado, Shador, right? From Deion's son. I think he's right in there. I'm sorry, the kid from Washington State. Help me. The quarterback from Washington.
Cameron Ward.
Cameron Ward. Yeah, Cameron Ward, he's good. I think he's a threat. I'm not too familiar who Cal has right now. I'm not too familiar who.
Yeah, I think they break. Yeah, I think it's the quarterback that came back from.
I don't know who Arizona State has either.
I think Arizona State has the quarterback that came from Notre Dame. He transferred. Is it Tyler Buck?
I don't know his name, but I know the face.
I can't remember. He played against us last year.
Yeah, he was there. He was Notre Dame starting quarterback last year.
Yeah. He transferred there, and UCLA.
UCLA, and he's just too unproven. I don't know. I can't speak on
Yeah.
It's Moore, right? What's his name? The kid is.
It's Moore, but then you got a quarterback that came from Kent State. He may get the nod. I think he may get the start over him. He transferred. He had like 2,500 yards passing last year. I'm just saying because of the experience, I think he may get over there over Moore. I'm not sure. I mean, you never know. The freshman may get in there and do something.
Well, you don't want to throw your freshman out to the wolves if you don't.
Nah, not in the beginning. But they schedule so weak, you may be able to do that.
Yeah. So I think if I could recall it let's go my top 5 or 6 because those are the real.
Heisman. Yeah, you just look at the Heisman guys.
So we got Caleb. For Heisman. Oh well, when it's Heisman, then I have to put Penix up there, right? I have to put Penix for individual stats because he's gonna throw he's gonna throw like crazy. I do think he might lead the conference in interceptions though. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
that's not. Just think that a lot of those balls that he threw last year aren't gonna bounce his way like they were.
Yeah,
that's just my belief. So Caleb, Penix. I'm gonna go Cam, Delara, Shadur, Cam from Washington State.
Yeah,
and those are my guys in the pack that I think are really, really going to be competitive that I know of.
I can't really disagree with that. I got Caleb 1, and then I got Michael Penix 2, Cam Rising 3. I'm gonna go Bo Nix 4, Sanders 6, and then Sanders 5, and then 6. I don't know. It kind of, you can kind of just Delore is a problem, man. I mean, he really. I don't know. It's hard to really. With him and Bo Nix, you can put them two together. They kind of almost have the same type of game when you look at the way they run around like that. They
do. I just see Delora just having a little more escapability. He was a headache. He was a menace last year. So
yeah. And then I think the biggest question mark is I'm sorry. What you gonna say?
He did lose his best receiver though.
Yeah. And I think the question mark of all is going to be DJU, Oregon State. I have no idea. What
I can't.
I can't call it with him, man. And
I've never been super high on his game anyway, but I just don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. So those are the quarterbacks. So when we look at the conference champions, man, we already got USC going to the Pac-12 championship. So when you look at each conference, man, let's start with the Big Ten. And your thoughts, who do you see becoming the conference champ of the Big Ten this year?
I don't think Ohio State could beat Michigan, man. Michigan, they're a very well-equipped team, man. They got a great quarterback who is potentially a Heisman candidate type player, and they have a Heisman caliber running back and a back running back who's just as talented. They got good D-line. They have great receivers who actually are better than most people give them credit for. They just didn't get many chances to catch the ball until late in the season. But Michigan is a very well put together team with a high belief system right now. I think they're going to be tough to beat this year in the Big Ten Conference.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you remember Jim Harbaugh, man, when he was at Stanford, he built that team like very, very physical, man. You remember how physical Stanford was, man. He built the trenches on both sides of the ball. I really think he kind of did that. He's doing the same thing with Michigan, man, but he probably has, I don't know, he might have better athletes, better interior players, man. And
they're just slow. They're just
shout
slow.
out to the Oklahoma fan. Hey, fight on. And I think that but the running backs are a beast, man. But the quarterback, I'm not going to say he's I did a video not too long ago about that guy, national analyst, stated that JT McCarthy is he thinks he's going to be just as good as Caleb. I said, man, have you lost your mind?
He said better than Caleb.
Better than Caleb. He is lost in sweet and sour sauce. I'm gonna tell you that right now, and the barbecue sauce. He lost in every sauce that you could think about.
He threw some deep balls at the end of the season because his running backs were injured. Does not mean he's Caleb. No,
no, not at all, man. And so I mean, he's a good quarterback, but in my opinion, he kind of looks more so like a game manager, man. But I do like Michigan, man. I think from a total package standpoint, top to bottom, they just outdoing Ohio State right now. And now the Ohio State doesn't have their quarterback. I don't know what type of quarterback they're gonna have in there. Yes, they say the other guy, the backup, is doing his thing, man. But man, I don't think you're gonna beat. If you can't beat Michigan went there and just whooped on them at home last year. I mean, just ran it down the throat. Yeah. So I'm picking Michigan in the Big Ten, man. So when we look at the ACC, who you got?
Who? Now,
so we got USC, Pac-12. We got Michigan, Big Ten.
Yep. So the ACC is a little tricky, but I think Travis Johnson he's a beast. Am I saying his name right? The quarterback.
Jordan Travis.
I said it back. Jordan Travis. Travis Johnson went to Florida State. He was my teammate with the Texans. He's a D lineman. My bad. Shout out Big Trav. No disrespect to Jordan Travis. I think that the Florida State's quarterback is going to do really well this season, and I think Florida State's going to be a sleeper coming out of the ACC.
They are big time sleeper. Not only did they get the receiver from Michigan State, they got Coleman from Michigan State, who's an absolute monster. They got another big 6'7" receiver who's incredible. Yeah. Then they got a defensive lineman from, I think, the guy that we wanted, Fisk. He's a beast. I think everything, and then you see them beat LSU last year, man. With what they're doing, I think they're going to continue. Yep. They're going to continue and pick up with it, and they beat Oklahoma in the bowl game last year. So I'm going with. I think I stated this on another show. Clemson, man. Everybody says Clemson. I think Clemson is lost in the sauce primarily because we're living in a new age of college football. And it's a transfer portal. And I think Dabo Swinney refuses to use the transfer portal. You got guys that are, it doesn't make any sense to me.
No. It's like going into a boxing match and not throwing your jab,
Yeah.
You're allowed to jab. You're allowed to throw that.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, I'm gonna throw these left hooks and these haymakers. I'm not going to do the most basic thing that's available to me. And I don't get it, but that's what they want to do. He wants to prove it, his culture, his way. But it could be a demise. It could be.
Yeah, you don't live off the transfer portal, but one thing you gotta understand, the landscape has changed somewhat. So you want to go with the flow with that, man. And you're gonna get guys. You're gonna approach these teams that all these teams gonna have mature players that just wanted to transfer just to be a part of something different. And you don't want to try to partake in that, man. You're gonna be lost in the sauce. That's one of the reasons why I don't think Clemson is gonna do it. Even though they got Garrett Riley, the coordinator that came from TCU, I just think Florida State's a better team. I think Florida State's gonna pick up from where they left off. So I got Florida State for the ACC as well.
Florida State as well. Okay, good.
Yeah. So Florida State. So we got Florida State, Michigan, and then USC. And then who you got for the SEC?
Come on, man. You can't. I got Ole Miss. No. Hey, how could you go against the two-time defending back-to-back national champions? You just can't.
Yeah.
Even though their quarterback situation is, we don't know. That's still Georgia, man. And now, Georgia is the most dominant program in the country. Dabo Swinney is currently the top coach in this sport. And Georgia, they deserve every bit of the success that they have, because one thing I'll say about Georgia, they play hard, grungy, grimy games, but you see them definitively win their games. You see them win. You don't. Yeah. I don't see like some of the things that you see from Alabama, where the refs help influence the game and give them an opportunity to come back and call non-favorable calls in Alabama's favor. I see,
except for Ohio State should have won. They had a missed call that game. They should have lost that game. That's the only one.
That was the national championship. That was a little bit questionable. I still don't know.
But otherwise, to your point, I totally agree though. I totally
feel about it. But I will say this. Overall, when I watch Georgia play, I see them beat teams. I don't see like a one-sided calls going against the other team to keep Georgia moving the ball down the field. I see them produce points, and but I do think that we are a matchup nightmare for a lot of these teams. Georgia,
absolutely. We just got to stay healthy.
Because look, how many guys left Georgia last year that went in the first 2-3 rounds?
And that's what a lot of people not talking about. They lost a lot of defensive linemen. Of course, they lost Bear Alexander to us. So, I'm kind of skeptical. I'm with you. You can't, until you knock the big dog down, you're just not going. But when you look at a returning quarterback, I've always said, this is kind of my motto. Anybody that has a quality veteran returning quarterback, you have a shot. You have an opportunity. And I don't know. LSU, they got Jaden Daniels coming back. They did beat Alabama last year.
Yeah.
So, but they got lost in the sauce against Georgia. So I'm not saying that they can do it, but we'll find out from them anyway in a couple of weeks. They played Florida State.
Sometimes LSU stumbles with weird games like against Auburn or something. It's like, what?
Arkansas.
Where did that come from? Right? They tend to do that. Like we run into Oregon State, and like we run into a weird team like Arizona comes out of nowhere one year and just knocks the wind out of us. The SEC has those types of teams like that. Like LSU can be comparable to USC sometimes with those types of weird, how did they lose that? And then the whole season is just like a mess. That's why I just don't know if I can buy the LSU stock. I haven't seen LSU, since, Joe Burrow and so I don't know. Yeah, I can't.
So you got to defend. You got Georgia for sure.
I got Georgia, and it's weird that Alabama's a sleeper, but they're a sleeper.
I've been hearing rumors that they've been having some issues at quarterback. I don't know how true that is. So I don't know. The jury's still out. They seem to be. Look, when you on a decline, I'm not saying they're on decline, but I just want to throw this out there. When you're on a decline, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen like where you could just see it immediately. It happens at a slow pace.
Yeah.
It moves slow. So the jury's still out. We'll see what they have this year. I'm gonna roll with Georgia as well. This year, man. So for the Big 12, man, who do you got for the Big 12?
This might be Texas's year, bro.
Man, you go. Yeah.
It might be. Sark might put some stuff together. They got a good young quarterback, Manning, who allegedly is balling, who allegedly is doing everything that people predicted he could do, Arch Manning. So, yeah, man, I don't know. It's hard to root for the Longhorns, but I can see them actually kind of getting over a hump this year.
I'm gonna say that they have a chance. I'm gonna say that they're probably the favorites. Quinn Ewers, he's gonna be the starting quarterback. But look, here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say that the quarterback and Arch Manning had one. He had a flash last week in the scrimmage. But I believe that Malik Murphy, quarterback out of Sarah High School, I believe that I think he's a much better. I think he may be the best quarterback on their team. He's standing like 6'5", 230, something crazy, and he's super mobile. Yeah. If they put that guy in, and look, they go down there and go play Alabama, man. If they put him in, they may see something that they never seen before. I just believe that with Malik Murphy. But
Vince Young,
Vince Young type. And so when you look at the Big 12 from top to bottom, West Virginia, no. Iowa State, no. Who else do they have? TCU, I'm not sure they lost their quarterback, but the quarterback that they had this year is actually the quarterback that was beat out last year by Max Duggan. So I think he was injured, if I'm not mistaken. So
no, I don't recall.
I'm gonna say Texas. Oklahoma, man, I don't even know what to make of Oklahoma. I don't even know. We'll see. We'll see what they do this year. What's your thoughts on Oklahoma?
Not. I think they're going to struggle again this year.
Yeah.
I think they may win one more game this year than they did last year, but I don't know. It's tough to say. You know, it's tough to say because I don't see too many really amazing offensive weapons. I don't see how they score too many good points. I don't know how do they score.
Yeah, and the quarterback for the Cape of Central Florida, Dylan Gabriel, I was so high on that guy, but I don't know. He just looked different to me when he came to Oklahoma. When he was at Central Florida, he was super explosive, but he looked different. Yeah. I don't. Hey, Digital Asset, I appreciate you, man. Hey, thank you for. And look, for those who don't know, I'm lost in the sauce. You guys see, I had the technical difficulty, so I can't see everything right now. Super chats are all these comments, man, and I'm a little bit lost in the sauce, but we just appreciate everybody for tapping in. And look, we're gonna wrap it up. Me and J-Walk, we had to try to squeeze this in to try to get this schedule together. Mm-hmm. And we got to it, but look, we will. Hey, I hope so.
I think I misspoke when I said I think I said Clemson's head coach name when I meant Georgia's. Kirby Smart. I think I said Dabo Swinney. I meant Kirby. Yeah. Kirby.
Yeah.
Kirby Smart is right now. I'm pretty sure I said Dabo Swinney. I misspoke. Kirby Smart currently is the best coach right now in college football because of his winning records. I mean, you can't argue against Georgia. So again, until you knock the champions out, he's got to be the guy, and Georgia has to be.
Yeah. And I think he's mastered. I think he mastered Nick Saban, man. And that's the bottom line. I think he mastered. And here's one point before we get out of here, because we got to go.
For now, yes.
Here's one point I want to make. Everybody talks about Oregon coach being a defensive coach. When he left Georgia, it seems like, just like Nick Saban, it seems like the defense continued. It was no drop off from Georgia. So it kind of makes me wonder, was that the influence? And I'm not knocking them, because last year, Oregon's defense wasn't just, I mean, they had just as much issues as we had. So my question is, was that attributed to Georgia, Kirby Smart being a defensive coordinator that he is and defensive mindset that they had that going? Or was that Dan Leonard? The jury's still out on that. I'm not saying one way or another. What's your thoughts on that?
I think Kirby Smart is smart.
You
know, he doesn't. He never got enough credit, in my opinion.
He is the real deal. I really got a lot of respect for him, man. I do.
And you know, his program's going through some issues. They've had a lot of negative press. God knows they've been through it with some of the tragedies that's happened over there with some of the players and the staff and just the culture rumors and stuff. But look, like he's holding it together. He's not out there blaming people. He's not doing what Jimbo or Nick Saban's doing. He's not pointing fingers. He's just like keeping it in-house, trying to protect his guys. Most people never say anything negative or bad about him. It's kind of like one of those guys. It's like he's just doing his thing, and he's at this phase of his career, he's earning all of the success that he's getting. I just think that now is Lincoln Riley's turn. It's his turn. And I think that ascension is coming. I also think that a lot of us as a USC fan, and now I'm gonna swing the pendulum. I think we're going to be a lot more proud of Coach Grinch than we've been.
I'm telling you. You guys know I've been sounding an alarm on that.
We are, and it's fixing. It's mostly fixing the fourth quarter, and mostly fixing the yards allowed from the last 14 minutes of the game. That's when we give up the most amount of yards. And I think now that with special teams, we'll have a lot better opportunities to scheme things up defensively. So we are very well equipped to do a lot better. Our punters better. Our kickoff guys better. Like last year, we had some very questionable punts that gave guys great field position. We didn't have a strong kickoff team where we were kicking the ball short of the end zone all the time so guys could return and pass the 40. Like those things matter. They matter. And I see all those little nuances that we've fixed in the transfer portal, in recruiting, and in the special teams practices that we're doing. The team is better overall. Our
Absolutely.
secondary is bigger, stronger, meaner, faster from top to bottom. Our D linemen are actually D linemen. They're trench players.
Right.
We have linebacker depth. So when guys go down, we got rotational players that can get the job done. We're gonna do well.
We're gonna do good, man. And so look, I'm so sorry to have to cut this short. Me and J-Walk, we got to get out of here. I gotta really cut it short because we were trying to get on and we had some technical difficulties. But look, we getting ready to have a big time live next week. You guys know J-Walk will be on here a few times throughout the week anyway for the season. But look, I gotta roll. Everybody stay blessed, man. I'm about to be lost in all types of sauce right now.
Share, subscribe, follow.
Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah, bro,
absolutely. Next Saturday, it's go time, man. And so look, you guys already know I'll be coming back to you. I come 1,200 days a week. And hey, nobody's doing that to you right now. And so look, man, until later on, everybody stay blessed, man. Fight on, fight on, fight on.
Fight on, guys.
All right, Big J. Let me end this thing first.
You talking, it ain't